Hey guys, welcome back to Remove Before Race. I'm your host Raz. We've got a rather exotic looking SUV today from Porsche to test. We're just standing right outside our normal test track. It's a very rainy day, so probably an exciting day to try out a Cayenne GTS. Now, the Cayenne GTS has done what the GTS Boxster did, and that is forego the idea of downsizing engines and come back with a strong and gorgeous V8. But in this car in particular, it's had some changes that really make this stand out as a sports SUV. So today we're going to explore this brand new Cayenne GTS. So guys, today's episode of RBR is sponsored by my favorite wallet company, The Ridge. Why are they my favorites? Because like you guys, I love carbon fiber, and they make simply the best carbon fiber wallets that I've ever seen. Look at that, matches exactly your car. You can get the forged one as well. Now with slim wallets, I'm usually used to this type of one. Yes, I'm a bit of a tart with the brand, but these can only hold 5-6 cards maybe, whereas in the Ridge, you can get up to 12 cards plus cash within the cash strap here. I also love that when I put it in my pocket, it doesn't bulge at all. It's super slim, and it's got RFID blocking technology, so no one can take money out of any of my cards. Now, of course, I've got a discount for you guys. All you need to do is go to theridge.com/RBR, use the code RBR. You'll get 10% off one of these awesome carbon wallets. Help support the channel as well, and you'll have something super stylish and something that matches lovely motorsport cars. So go to ridge.com/RBR. So my friends, as I said in the intro, the previous Cayenne GTS ditched the old normally aspirated V8 and brought in a V6 twin turbo. Now, Porsche did discuss a lot at the time how the front end wasn't as heavy now and you got better dynamics and all the usual marketing spiel that you get along with a decision that most people weren't happy with. Most auto reviewers came back and said, well, yeah, great car, but orally not that exciting and not that different to the standard Cayenne S versus then the turbo. Now that V6 twin turbo produced 436 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 was 5.1 seconds, so it was still a pretty quick car. But now, like they did with the 718 GTS, they have reverted to using the engine that everybody wants. And now we have a lovely bi-turbo hot-Vee setup V8 in this car, which comes down from the turbo that we recently tested, but a detuned version. So this one produces 454 brake horsepower, about 100 less than the turbo, 620 Newton meters, and a huge reduction in the 0 to 60 from 5.1 down to 4.5 seconds on launch control, which is very, very impressive indeed. But as I said, there's a lot that's gone on in terms of the internals of the GTS, as there always is. Now, many ask, where do these GTS models sit? And as a basic idea, they tend to be some of the best handling out of the entire range, turbos included, and they tend to be the ones that the engineers at Porsche really give a lot of love to in terms of handling. So the power isn't that much up from the standard Cayenne S, but in terms of the chassis development and the way that the air suspension and the dynamic chassis control works, it's all been geared specifically for a car that handles even better, and you get so many of the options that you can get in Turbo S as well. So first, I want to go through some of the options that you get on this GTS. First of all, the brakes come in standard form anyway, as steel brakes with red calipers. These have a coating on them that allow high performance and high wear and tear. I believe it's a tungsten coating. This car that we have in front of us has got everything in the kitchen sink in it. It's finished in carmine red, and as you can see, it's got the carbon ceramic brakes, which are telltale. You can see with the yellow calipers. I mean, the discs on these are absolutely huge. Check those out, really massive. That's just one of the options that we have extra on this car. Like I said, it's got the kitchen sink. GTS, as per normal, comes with the entire sports design package as standard. We also have darkened lights in the front and the rear. The color is typical GTS launch color in carmine red. I think it really suits the coupe. But what I really love about the coupe is one particular option that you can get, and that is the lightweight package, which also comes with an optional lightweight exhaust system. Now, when you look at this system, it looks absolutely fantastic, and I want to show you a close-up of that right now. This car is also optioned with the air suspension, again with specific usage for the Cayenne GTS. The suspension is lowered by 20 millimeters in the GTS. We've even got Porsche dynamic chassis control, again, which will help shift the weight, as we'll see as we go out in the run in a minute. So really, absolutely everything thrown into the spec of this particular car. So it should show us what a top spec Cayenne GTS Coupe is going to handle like when we push it hard in the wet track outside. Now, a really quick look inside. I want to show you what the car sounds like on startup, because it's got a very unique sounding exhaust, as I mentioned, and then we will head out and push this car on the road. So guys, undoubtedly the most exciting part of the new Cayenne GTS for me has to be that new lightweight sports exhaust system. You see that finished here with a carbon fiber diffuser. The exhausts themselves really large. I love the little cuts inside there. It's got a dark black chrome finish, which looks great as well. And this exhaust system gives a completely unique sound versus the standard one. And it will also later be available in Turbo and Turbo SE Hybrid as an option. So you'll be able to get these centralized exhausts in those two flagships as well. And as I said, it's going to give a different sound, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Now let's have a look at a few of the other changes that the GTS brings. Of course, you get the sports design package as normal. You get darkened lights for both the rear and the front here. We have the clear tail lights. I've got the light on in there, which would normally just be clear. We've got the 22-inch wheels here, which look really, really special. They are in that spider design, and you see hiding behind there the carbon ceramics. These are part, again, of that lightweight package. Speaking of the lightweight package, you also get the carbon fiber roof. I don't know how much weight that will save on this. And talking of unique elements of that lightweight package, so you have the houndstooth interior inside, which I quite like actually, against the black nappa. It gives a rather unique look to the GTS models. Really, really like the red center dial there, and the Race Tex steering wheel, GT size in diameter. The rear has two individual seats. I'm still trying to clarify whether you have to have those with lightweight package or whether you can option the bench back in. It might be possible, according to my Porsche contact, but we'll get more information on that when we do a full review of this car later on. Of course, you have a whole host of GTS badging all around the car. Excuse the dirt, it's really wet today. But yeah, the front is less exciting, I think. There's less going on that kind of denotes it as a performance SUV. You have got active aerodynamics in there, as you can see, as always with newer Porsche. Not the most aggressive front end that you'll find on a performance SUV, but the entire package, when you see it on the road, as you will later, really looks the business. It looks like a proper Porsche. So we had a quick look at the interior. I like the houndstooth, like the Race Tex, like the general theme. You can of course get the red stitching, or pretty much do it any way you want with Porsche, which is great. What I want to show you now is more about the sound. So let's do a start up. I'm going to do it in sport, which is traditionally the louder way. Sounds really good, and this is the pull of having the V8, but you're going to see that properly now when I take this down some very wet roads very, very fast. But you remember the turbo, don't you, Jamie?
Yes.
Does it feel dissimilar?
It's hard to tell. Oh, the speed that you do.
Because I don't, it's 100 horsepower down.
That shouldn't be able to do that.
It doesn't feel it, does it?
No.
It does not feel
It's not just that's the balance, isn't it?
like on rails.
Yeah. For an SUV.
Look at that.
So it shouldn't do that.
So a rare start to driving review. I had to show you that because we just finished filming, and really what I experienced in this Cayenne GTS, I really wanted everyone else to experience it. And that's a rare occasion because often we drive so many cars here and very much run-of-the-mill experiences. And to be honest, the last 3 Porsches that I've had here, so Taycan Turbo S, Turbo S Cabriolet, and now this, we've all had to have a go and just see how brilliant they are. Again, kind of, you read the spec sheets and it's like, all right, yeah, 250 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. You know, nothing earth-shattering, nothing mind-blowing in that regard. But this is where Porsche gets you, because it doesn't matter what the spec sheet says. If it's got GTS at the end of it, if it's got turbo at the end of it, if it's got GT product, it's going to be brilliant in some way. So let me start to unpack that for you. What is it that I'm feeling that's making me say this car is brilliant? So first of all, I'm in sport mode. I always tend to default to this in Porsches because they sound better. No difference here in the Cayenne GTS. It sounds a lot more exciting in sport mode, but I've set the chassis to Sport Plus. First of all, the V8. Listen to that. Now, being Mr. AMG, I'm used to a lot of pops and bangs and all of this kind of stuff. I guess what you would call artificial sound. This just rumbles and rumbles and rumbles in such a gorgeous way. Now, of course, this is the lightweight exhaust, as we said, and it does have a very different tune to what we found in Turbo. If you check that review, it's kind of, I can hear more of it. It's more angry, there's more rumble, there's more grumble, there's more going on there, like a snarling Rottweiler, I guess. And at first it seemed quiet, but then I started revving it, going through the gears a bit more, and it's become so addictive. I mean, undoubtedly, the GLE 53 that I just drove back to back was louder, it had louder bangs and stuff, but that doesn't mean that the sound is better. The quality of the V8 here, the sound is all airtime, fantastically good. It is really addictive, and I can't imagine now having a Cayenne GTS without the V8. That whole V6 thing was such a mistake, but lesson learned. I mean, how many manufacturers actually do that? So that was an engine from the Cayenne S that was tuned up. The difference here is we've got the engine from the Turbo tuned down, which means it's very happy to rev, it's very comfortable. We know that it can perform harder, and it feels like it wants to, but never does this car feel underpowered, which is not something I said about the GLE. In fact, it's much the opposite. I don't think I can tell the difference between this and Turbo, even though there's 100 horsepower difference. 0 to 60 is not that different, there's only half a second in it, and that I can believe, particularly doing this handling course. It just feels very, very similar to that car, but I don't know, the GTS just seems a little bit sweeter. I'm driving, I think, that much faster through the corners than I was previously. Maybe I'm more used to Cayenne, or maybe this car is allowing me to get more used to its chassis, more used to its steering, more used to the way. I mean, this is dominating this tarmac. This SUV, it doesn't feel like I'm driving an SUV, I swear to you guys. Well, it does, it just feels like I'm driving a much smaller one. It feels like I'm driving something Macan, GLC, Stelvio Quadrifoglio sized. I genuinely mean that. This is not journo bullshit. It's cornering so flatly. The steering is brilliant. Brilliant steering as usual from Porsche. Turn in, fantastic. I know exactly where my wheels are, despite driving, oddly, a left-hand drive German car on our usual UK roads, which has been a hell of a thing for my brain to kind of work out. That element of body roll feels like non-existent, well, not non-existent, but just enough to give you an idea of what the body is doing. And then when it comes to putting power down out of a corner, really have just enough. Oh, that was good. Now, of course, what undeniably helps is having the carbon ceramics. You've got less weight, you've got a more keen turn in as well. And of course, the stopping power is magnificent. So, again, kind of heart pumping, driving a new Porsche. These guys are very, very good at making emotional cars, even out of a large SUV with only 450 brake horsepower that really has no place feeling this fast and feeling this dynamic. It should feel ashamed of itself or exceedingly proud, I'm not sure which. Very exciting, very, very fast, very, very Porsche. This is a car that I think I would take over the Turbo. Yeah, I think I would. I think it's got just something, an X factor about it that the Turbo doesn't have. Is it that lightweight exhaust? I'm not sure. It sounds brilliant. Is it the entirety of the lightweight package that makes the whole car feel a little bit more nimble? Of course, we can get that in Turbo later, but I don't know. Is it the red? Is it the whole package? It just looks and feels so exotic. I would love to chase down a Urus in this car, eventually overtake it and then lap it, I think. This is very impressive. Now, in terms of outright speed, if we slow it down a little bit, hit sport response mode, car is geared up. I don't think the straight line speed is maniacal in any way. It's okay. It kind of feels like a 450 brake horsepower. Actually, that's not fair. I think it feels more powerful. I think it does feel like a 500 brake horsepower one. The difference, and the key difference that I felt between this and the GLE, is that this doesn't feel underpowered. Now, I don't know whether that's down to the handling being that much better, the noise being that much better when I'm accelerating, but we know that this is a faster car, and it genuinely does feel faster. I think Porsche's figures, with regards to 0 to 60, etc., they are always very conservative. I feel that's once again the case here with Cayenne GTS. Now, what's it like if we go into like a comfort mode? On these 22-inch wheels, I can still feel everything from the floor through into the steering wheel. Not quite as pronounced, but I mean, the engine is relaxed a little bit. I haven't quite got that deep rumble, so the exhaust is on, but in normal mode it's quite sedate, which is nice. In this lightweight package car though, I still hear a lot of the road. I feel a lot of the road. It feels like it's always ready to do something dynamic. And I think that's kind of expected of a big red Cayenne GTS, because if it feels like a frumpy standard SUV, it's not going to really tick those boxes for the customer who wants this. What's it going to be like as the daily? I don't know. We're going to explore that in a future video. For now, I've had so much fun in this car. It's really surprised me, because on paper, really shouldn't be as exciting as it is. Though I shouldn't be surprised considering the last two experiences that we've had here with new Porsche vehicles. So guys, if you enjoyed this first look at the Cayenne GTS, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. The reason I keep saying this in every video, because it gives us more opportunities with more manufacturers to entertain you guys. And now I've only got my drive back to Porsche HQ. I'm going to enjoy it to the max. See you guys later.